Konnichiwa, YouTubers. This is Res Talk straight from Japan, and here I am going to be doing a review on the G1, G2 minibots. Now, who we have here is G1 Brawn, G1 Warpath, and everybody's perennial favorite, G2 Bumblebee. Well, basically, these are basic figures, and I'm not going to insult your intelligence by actually transforming them. I'm just going to point out a few of the features. So we're going to go one by one, starting off with G1 Brawn. So I'm going to push back the other players just to show them. G1 Brawn is actually a little Land Rover Jeep style. And as you can see, it rolls rather well. Let me just go ahead. Not the greatest rolling action, not as good as Bumblebee, as you'll see. But nonetheless, he does do that. There are no paint applications on there. As you can see, the windows aren't exactly, they're not painted on. They do have the front windshield is, and it does have a nice little chrome detailing with a winch. That doesn't work. Has a spare wheel on the top, the rub symbol here on the side, and a nice little spare gas tank on the back. Not too bad. Hides the kibble rather well, but you can actually see the guy's face and actually torso underneath. So it's not too bad. I like the alt mode, not too bad. So I'm going to give 8 out of 10 on this respect. Next coming up is Warpath. Warpath is a very basic figure, but to his defense, he does have an interesting color scheme, whether it's gray and red. That's quite alright. The turret does swivel. Not the greatest, but it does swivel 360 degrees. And, of course, you can see the guy's face from the turret, but it actually does serve for an entry point for the soldiers if they need be. Of course, the rub symbol is right up front. But one thing I do like about Warpath is he does have some mobility. He has low tires underneath. And the treads are basically for decorative purposes, but he hides the kibble extremely well. So as you can see, kind of rolls, but I guess he wasn't meant for rolling. He's basically meant for treading around. He is a tank after all. Last but not least, of course, is G2 Bumblebee. And notice that it has a nice gold color finish, which is a little shinier than the G1 original. The G1 is a more yellow, this one's a more gold painted figure. Now this one, like I mentioned before, rolls really well. You can see compared to Brawn, like I mentioned before. See, that doesn't roll that well, but look at that, no problem. So aesthetically speaking, he looks really sharp, really sharp. Has nice little decals on the back. And one thing I wanted to point out, what's different from the G2 is I'm going to point out in the bottom here. Notice that the symbol up there, if it focuses correctly, let me just point it real close. It does say Autobot real close right there. The symbol is a little bit different, just to show you the difference. Here's Brawn. That's a classic symbol. Very nice, very nice. As you can see, the windows are actually painted on, as opposed to Brawn's, who didn't have painted on. And it's a nice, very gold finish, black and gold. Very good, nice colors that complement this figure really well. A very nice figure if you can find it. So I'm going to just put them back in for one last look before we see their alt modes. Actually, these are their alt modes. I forgot to rate this. Their alt mode kind of pedestrian, so that's a 7 out of 10. A definite 10 out of 10 for good old Bumblebee. So I'll see you in a few seconds. Okay, we're back. Now they're fully transformed, as you can see. G1 Brawn, G1 Warpath, and G2 Bumblebee. We're first going to start off with Brawn. I'm going to set these other figures to the back. So G1 Brawn has the spotlight. Right, as a figure, we all know that G1s don't have the greatest articulation, so I'm not going to discount them. I'm not going to penalize them for that. But it's not a bad little figure, as you can see. The arms itself are a little chrome. Head, of course, does not move. It's all pretty much painted on, so you gotta deduct points for that. The legs, other than try to kick a football or something, it doesn't have that much articulation. Arms do swivel up and down. Could almost make 360 degrees, almost, but then again it's hindered by the legs. So the legs do limit the articulation. Because of that, I'm going to have to give this figure a 6 out of 10 because of its lack of articulation. So let's move him back, go on to Warpath. Warpath is even more limited. As you can see, the legs just basically stand there because it just basically forms the front portion of his, or the front portion of the tank. So the legs are really limited. He doesn't move that much. I mean, that's about it. No waist articulation, obviously. Arms can't even go all the way. And of course, his head goes in up and down. Very limited articulation, goes back and forth. Because of his limited articulation, I'm going to have to give him a below average score, so I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10 in that respect. And of course, everybody's favorite, Bumblebee. And I'm going to make this assumption because I'm actually going to use him later on in one of my reviews. Nice little figure. Still, the paint apps are really nice, so it's really good. His arms actually rotate 360 degrees, which is very nice. Head goes up and down, no waist articulation. In fact, what happened to his waist? That's okay. Kind of hard to actually focus, so I'm going to try to ease into it. There we go. Has actual ankle articulation for both of the ankles, so it is kind of neat. So as a figure, he looks rather sharp. Not bad. Good looking figure. Actually, the face looks rather good, and that's one thing I noticed, that of all the 3 figures, his face looks rather outstanding. So he gets the highest score of the 3. Give him a nice solid 8 out of 10 because of his robot mode. Alright, so let's go ahead and go through the lineup again. Okay, as you can see, their faces for Warpath and Brawn rather pedestrian. However, Bumblebee does shine in that respect. Well, that's been Rest Talk, and I'll see you all next time.